I'm Detective Smith. I work at the Great Bend Police Department. A little bit of background on me is I started in 1998 in law enforcement. I am a detective currently at the Great Bend Police Department, and I work all sexual assaults. So if it's in our jurisdiction in Great Bend, I work all sexual assaults and cases regarding anyone under the age of 18. So those are my cases. This is my passion. Internet safety is just one of those big things that I feel like is very important, and this is my way to give back to you guys and to kind of express that with you, share some of the resources that I have available, so maybe that I can help, you know, further some knowledge or some questions that you guys may have in dealing with social media. I want to start with a video. I think that starting with this, it just kind of hits it right there on the target with the importance of social media and the dangers that are out there. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this.
Guess what? I met a guy. He is so hot. His name is Ricky. Yeah, he plays football. I actually haven't met him in person yet. He asked me out, and I can't wait to be with him. Not like that, you dummy. Well, maybe that too.
pretty strong message in that video. The thing is this kind of stuff happens a lot more than what people would realize. This video is not far off from what cases we take, dealings that we have in the public with kids around here. Most of you guys obviously are here because you're parents or you're with your parents. And these are concerns. These are problems that we're having currently, and these are problems that we're trying to address. So the thing is you guys need to be aware of some things on cell phone usage. When these kids are using cell phones, you know, having rules, having boundaries set up with your kids, knowing what they're using their phone for, knowing what their apps are that they have on their phone. Just like these, where they're instant chat rooms. I mean, there are many, many different types of software out there that these kids are able to get on these online messaging, and how easy would it be for that to happen? You know, pretty simple. And how easy did he gain her trust? You know, I mean, he went the distance of having a picture already, so she assumes already in her mind that that's what he looks like, is that kid in that picture. But how willing was she to trust him? And this happens. And just like the comments, you know, he's trying to get an answer from her. He's trying to get information when, you know, I don't know if you guys caught it in the text when they were chatting back and forth, but the comments made about, you know, do I get to meet your parents? Do you think he really was too concerned about meeting parents? But he made her think, oh, he wants to meet my parents, not this time, they're out of town. So what else does that tell him? That tells him that I'm going over there to her house. She gave me her address, and I'm going to go up there to the house and do whatever. I mean, you guys can draw your own inferences from the video on how it ends on what's going to happen next. Some kids are abducted. Some kids are sexually assaulted there. Some kids are taken into a vehicle and sexually assaulted there. It is strangers. It is sharing too much information. It's us having to, I'm a mom, a mother of 4 girls, and I have a granddaughter. So I know how important it is for me to be in their lives and know. I have a couple of them that are pretty young, but I have a high schooler, and, you know, yeah, there's times where she doesn't like me, but that's okay. That's okay, because in the end, I'm not worried about whether or not she likes me, because sometimes there's parents out here that get confused on whether you're a friend or whether you're a parent. And so you have to ask yourself, am I going to step up and be that friend to her or him, my son or daughter, or am I going to be a parent? Because I guarantee if you're a parent, it will be so much easier. Even though you have your bumps in the road, it'll be easier in protecting them. And someday, maybe my daughters will understand that I did this for a reason, and that was to protect you. So knowing their passwords, we have rules in our house. You don't, and teens don't always like this. I understand that. But if there's a passcode, I get it. If I don't get it, that phone is mine. I pay the bill. So it's just as easy as that. I mean, and if you want a, you know, one of those old-time flip phones where all it does is call, okay, well, I'll go pay my $10 and go get one. And then you can just have that. And you'll use it for emergencies, but it takes standing up and saying, no, it ain't happening. Because if people aren't engaged in their child's behavior, you just never know. And how easy was it for him to gain her trust? I mean, how much information do they give out? This new buzz on selfies. These kids post way too much stuff. I mean, where they're going, who they're going with, snaps here, Snapchats there, messages here, Facebook status there. I get it. Social media is great. It does serve purposes. but it also serves purposes for the other side, the bad side. And so that's how we have to think. We have to think, what's this predator that's stalking kids, what's he gonna be doing? What's she gonna be doing? A lot of times, we have cases where it is something like that, where it's somebody that engages in that kid, picks up the fact that if these guys are sitting here, or girls are on the social media and they're watching, they're picking out their targets. This isn't something that's just random. So if this kid over here, Johnny, is posting how bad his life is, guess what? That's my target. And then I'm going to play on whatever side that he's posting or she's posting to the world about how problems he or she's having, this or that, and then I'm going to get their trust, and then I'm going to work that angle to whatever I got to do. But the thing that we have to keep in mind too is that predator's ultimate goal is to meet them in person. And so that's what we have to do, is be able to protect our kids, report suspicious behavior, suspicious information. If you know, be over your kid's shoulder. They may not like it, they may not enjoy it. That's the way it is. I have some parents that tell me, well, you know, when my daughter goes to sleep, I go through her phone when she's asleep. Okay, whatever you have to do. You know, if you threaten, hey, either you give me your passcode or the phone's mine, then you got to do that. That's just another step that you have to do. With cell phone is just another version of a little portable computer. So you can put anything and everything on there. It stores everything. So these kids don't understand that all that information there can get transferred over to somebody else, to get sent out. So if kids are taking pictures of each other, which we're having a lot of problems of our teens, they'll take pictures, explicit pictures, sexual pictures, naked pictures, those kinds of things, and send them out. Well, if that kid is sending one picture out, you know, who's to say that that person isn't going to send it to 5 more? And those 5 aren't going to send it to 5 more. Now you've got this girl that took this picture that never thought that this was going to happen. And a lot of them will say, well, I was only sending it to my boyfriend. Well, you can't trust that that boyfriend's not going to do something else with it. And these predators are online waiting for these kids to upload some of these pictures, and then they're open, they're free game, they're all over the internet. And I'll tell you right now, these kids don't understand that just because, say, this girl takes the picture willingly and sends it to her boyfriend, oh, that makes it okay. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. If she's under the age of 18 and there's sexually explicit information, pictures, text, anything, that's illegal. You can't have it on your phone. She could get in trouble for having it on her phone, for taking it, for sending it out, and then that person could be charged for every person they send it out to. So, I mean, we've got a lot of exploitation, soliciting, wanting kids, oh, just send me a picture of this, send me a picture of that. Use your imagination on that. But, I mean, we come across that a lot. And these kids are doing it because, well, you know, I really like Johnny. He's a really good guy, so I'm just sending it to Johnny, so it'll be okay. And they do it. So that's why I preach and preach and preach to these kids. Think before you post. How would your mom feel about that post? How would your dad feel? How would your grandparents feel? How would your principal feel? Your teacher, your counsel? If the answer to that is that they would not appreciate it, that text, that post, that picture, then you better not be doing it. And that's what I preach and preach and preach to the kids. Here's some statistics on cell phones. 78% have cell phones, 47% smartphone users. So if you do the math in your head, I mean, that's an astounding amount of people, of kids, on cell phones, on smartphones. So it's basically like a mobile computer, pretty much. Sexting, 18 to 22% of cell phone owning teens say they have sent sexually suggestive nude, semi-nude messages via text, or that they have received those. So meaning these kids are getting asked, hey, will you send me a picture? Will you know, or they're having conversations about it. And most of them will have those texts. And a lot of times when we're dealing with these, yes, we can get consent from the parents for the cell phones if we've got a case of this nature. But if, say we're working on a different timeline, then we'll get subpoenas, search warrants, and go ahead and issue it to the cell phone provider and get all of that information. And when we did our speech up there at the school, the kids were just, they couldn't believe that. You know, all of them had, I mean, you can ask the principal, they were all asking questions. Well, what's going on there? Like, how long can the picture be in the phone, or how long can the message? I mean, so there were people thinking, kids thinking about it, shaking. I mean, nervous. So I guarantee there were some right there in that room that had that stuff. When we talk about online safety, cyberbullying, bullying, it's all comes into play because we have such a big problem with it too. It's bullying taken to an extremely different level. Kids, instead of standing up and having a confrontation with somebody, another kid, they'd rather not confront them to their face, so they say it online. And it's for everybody to see, and it does nothing but tear kids down. It tears them apart. And, you know, we've seen kids at their worst on this situation, and we've seen kids that have been the bullier, and they just have no idea what kind of problem this causes. So, you know, I ask, you know, make the reports. Even if you question what the situation is, you're not sure, you know, is this a criminal level? Is this something else? Give us a call. I'll be more than happy to take any calls. I was at the middle school today, gave out my email, my cell phone number. I mean, you guys can get a hold of me at the police department if you have a question. Teachers, I told them, you know, if there's a problem of that nature and you're not really sure where things fit, or you think maybe one of your kids is being bullied but you're not sure, you know, give me a call. Make sure that they know that you got to tell an adult, you got to make the report, you got to let somebody know, so they can, so we can address the problem and try to get it stopped. This cartoon I like because of all the different pictures up there of the different social media websites that are popular right now. And most of you guys will realize or recognize what those are right off the bat: Pinterest, Facebook, Twitter, Vine, Google+. There's a whole lot of different ones up there, and it just shows to what extreme these kids have, and it's all at the click of a button, and it's right there. So when a cell phone, when they're using messaging on their phone, you know, is there another messaging app? Probably. So how important is it that we go through that phone and check? What other message apps is our kid using? Are they, a lot of times we'll have pictures locked up when we do search warrants and stuff, locked up in a safe. And it's a whole different app. And it'll look like a safe on the front. They'll have a lock code sometimes on them, and that kind of thing. So be aware of that so your kids don't try to pull that kind of stuff off and try to get that past you. The thing is with these kids and their online activity, and we asked them when we talked to them on the 9th, is, think about your futures. Think about, when those kids are posting this stuff online, think about not just tomorrow or the week after or even a year after, but what about 2 years after? What about when the kids are trying to get into colleges? I mean, how many of you guys do research and you want to look somebody up, well, what's the first place to do? Go online. Check it online. You want to check somebody out, sometimes go to Facebook. Sometimes you go and search their name in Google. Maybe it's in there, maybe not. I mean, you just never know. If you don't know a definition of a word, look it up. I mean, Google is right there, and it has all kinds of information there at the touch of your fingertips. So it's just, I can't express it enough how important it is to get engaged, to recognize these different software. I put these up here too because YouTube is open for videos. Most of you have probably seen it or utilized it to look something up, but we're getting a lot of that and having problems with posting videos on YouTube. Email, they'll message each other back and forth on email, so that's always a good thing to watch. And then of course I talked to you about Facebook. Instagram is more of the pictures, and this Kik, we've had it come up a lot here lately on different social media cases where we're working where they're posting pictures or posting messages, and it's of a sexual nature, and soliciting minors to engage in different type of sexual activity. And so we'll go on there, we can pull that stuff off, and be able to use another agency out of Wichita that works with the internet crimes against children, and they have a website where they can locate different it's a website that you can actually locate the person that's sending the messages. So you can go through and do a search on it, and they can pull up any information. They also go through cell phones too. If we have a very extensive case and we need to get information, they're good for that as well. There is one I wanted to mention. It's not on here, but another one that you might search is Backpage. It's a site that we have searched before because it has escorts. It has information in there that just blows your mind. And I look it up for pictures because if we have runaways or we have girls that we're looking for or boys, and for whatever reason right now they are posting that stuff on there. So if they're advertising a sexual crime, and they're wanting to entice some minors or entice some juveniles into sexual acts, they do it on Backpage. So we do a search on that because they post pictures as well as the text messages. Snapchat is very popular, probably, as you know, because of the time. They just changed a lot of things with the information on Snapchat, but their messages are a video or text. It's there for a few seconds and then it's gone. You know, it's pretty difficult, but there are ways to get the video and to actually get what is sent from person to person. But it's one of those things where if they send it out, as far as the person receiving it, it's gone within 10 seconds or less. So it's just another tool, another device that they're using to send the messages and get rid of them. Twitter, they're using it quite a bit, mostly for parties and stuff of that nature, but not as much as Facebook, Instagram, and that kind of stuff. Melt, Tango, Ask FM, Vine is another video app, and then the Yik Yak, and some of the dating sites. I know Tinder is one of them that is doing messaging and that kind of stuff on it. And Tinder is a dating website, but minors are using it. So we have to look into fake, false profiles for Facebook. So one juvenile may use one account, create another account, and use both. So you may be looking up your kid and have their profile on one, but they may have another profile that is used for other things. So if they want to say something and not have a parent know, not your family know, they'll create another one. We've had some where they change a first or last name. So they're in there under their first and last name, and then they have a secondary account, sometimes a third, and they're under a different name. So you may be searching, and you may have to look at pictures because it's not all there. You don't know until you start looking and finding all of that. These are all still the dating apps, sites. This Text Plus is a lot of, like I mentioned before, where they have their phone version, whatever phone they have a version of the text messages in it, and then they can add another app that is another kind of text. So it's still texting, but it's under a different program. Yes, we can still pull that off of there. But it's just another way to, if parents are looking, they may look only in one spot for an app, find that message app, and there's still another one over here in this folder that you can't see. You know, so it's things that you have to go through and figure out. Another big thing is their abbreviation of words, laugh out loud, all those kinds of things. If you don't know some of those, or if honestly I have no clue, I've done it before because Google, like I said, it's one of those things that if you don't know, you might as well just look it up because it's probably on Wikipedia or Google or somewhere online. But if you don't know the abbreviation of something, then my suggestion is to look it up because you don't know what's being said, and if you want to engage, want to know what's going on with your child, that's the best way to do it. These are all more chat, the FaceTime, Google Hangouts. The FaceTime is the video talking back and forth, but a lot of these kids, when they're online, being careful what they put on there or what pictures they take. If they're taking pictures outside and they're taking pictures in front of their house, what's on their house? What color is their house? House numbers. It looks like they're on near 24th Street, so they got to be somewhere around there. So it's one of those things that you got to be constantly thinking of in the back of your mind because these kids don't realize the dangers there when these predators are out there looking for them, and they're bound and determined to find them. With all of this, I know I've thrown out a lot of information at you guys, a lot of different applications and stuff. Do you guys have any questions for me on anything that we've talked about or anything even that we haven't covered that you're just concerned about or anything like that?
What are the actual charges that a child can get for sending those pictures back and forth, and like what's the consequences of it?
It depends. It's all through court, so as far as the actual punishment, it's going to have to be decided in court. They consider the ages of the child and to what graphic natures the pictures are. If they're on the phone, they can be held, depending on the age of the person and how graphic they are. But if they're under the age of 18 and those pictures are in there, they can be charged with pornography, possession of pornography, because it is pornography. And I don't know if you guys know the age of consent to have sex in the state of Kansas. Yes, 16. So that means that under age 16, they can't even consent to it. So even if it's happening or they're involved in it, it's illegal. And they can be charged, the other partner can be charged So, and I think there's some confusion there amongst the kids on whether or not they can be charged, even if they say, oh, well, it's okay. Well, no, it's not. It's not okay. It's not okay even if you took the picture and it's of yourself and you're under the age of 18. Now you can get in trouble for it as well. And that's the, good question.
To play out her question, can the parents get in trouble for it since the phone is registered in their name?
It depends on, in some cases they could be. Typically what we deal with parents is if they have knowledge of it and they're allowing it to continue or allowing this crime to occur, if we can show cause of that, then we can go towards charging the parent. If the parent has knowledge and the parent is allowing it, then yes, they stand a good chance of being charged as well.
And their charges would be different than?
Yes, it would be child endangerment, those kinds of things, more guarded or more aimed towards crimes against the parent for the way, for the not having limitations on the kids, not being able to have control over them. So if there's knowledge, that's why we say report, because if you don't tell us, then we don't know. And if you have questions, let us know. If you need kids talked to, or if you've tried to tell them and you think something's going on, make sure you let us know. We'll help you. We'll do the best we can to help you. It's not to see them behind bars. It's to see them get help. And if the behavior continues and there's no control, there's no change, then criminal action is all there is.
So if a parent comes to you, contacts you because they're concerned about their child, they should feel comfortable coming to you that your first goal is not to incarcerate their child, it's
Yes.
to stop the cycle and get help.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Because I think that's important for people to
yes.
hear.
And I know that's a big fear for parents too. And, but they've got to have some place to go to address the issue. But if efforts are exhausted and there's nothing, or the crime outweighs whatever the situation is, depending on that, if there is a whole lot of issues going on and there is repeated offenses, and I have some parents that they're at their wits' end, they don't know what to do anymore, then we have to go other ways. Sometimes court is the only way, getting charges is the only way, and if that's in place, then at least we can get help through the system, where to go next, what to do next, what kind of help is out there in those type of things.
Not to go off her question. Sorry. If I, as a parent, feel like there's something going on and they're not telling me, they won't give me their password, and you can't get into them, can you guys get into it? How do you go?
Yeah, if a parent gives us consent,
Then
yeah.
you can,
If a parent gives us consent, that's all it takes, and the phone is in their name.
but how do you get into the phone?
We have some tools that will allow us,
Screwdriver tools? Or
No.
like programs?
programs, actual software that we can plug in, yes, and we can bypass the password, and then we can get whatever information we need out of it. Cell phones also, if you guys have, depending on the company that you have. Straight Talk is probably one that's a little tougher, but I know if parents have, say Verizon, Nextech, and they want that information, they can request that from the actual agency.
So is the password that's on a phone just a surface? If you wanted that
Yes.
information,
Yes.
then they would be able to.
We have software that can, now if, say for whatever reason, if we can't get into it, then we can always have the Internet Crimes Against Children, and they help us, and they have software as well, and they can hook up to the phone, we can send it to them, and usually it's 24 hours. is all it takes. Because they have people that just do that. No, don't work any cases, only go through phones all day long. I mean, so it's out, the steps are out there, we just have to take them depending on what kind of
Do you
situation
have to have
it's
the
in.
actual device to get into it?
Unless you go through the cell phone company, then I don't.
So if you go through the phone
Mhm.
company, then you can,
Yep, and I even had kids ask me at the middle school, what if you change out the SIM cards? And you take one SIM card out of this card and put it in this phone, and, I mean, they're thinking, so, you know, their minds are turning, and yeah.
so what's
I
the
mean,
answer to that?
it doesn't matter. It's like a brain inside that cell phone, and that SIM card is a number, is a phone number. It's not to that device. Yeah, it may, when you call and you change out the SIM cards, it may ring to whatever phone number. It's got a phone number on it, and that's what shows up. But what the brains are in it is what's in that cell phone company. And you can get tower locations, triangulation, everything. You can get locations, that's how we find people. Off of pings and stuff, when we have missing children and stuff like that. If they, I mean, cell phones are a great tool. Social media is a great tool if it's used the right way. But that's a lot of how we are able to locate kids that have cell phones, because they're pinging off of towers, and we can get a triangulation on them and locate them.
Is there any apps that a parent can install to, that alerts them when their kids are like in suspicious, apps or social media or stuff like that?
I'm not aware of any, but there may be, that's a good question. There may be some that would be specific to whatever phone there is.
Yeah,
So if
because
there's,
if, maybe if you sync all the lines together, maybe it could be when the other one is, you know, media or something, you know?
right. And itemized will give you some information. I know that some of the Next Tech in Hayes, and this may have changed since they got a new office, but you could request the information through Next Tech on, like, if it's your phone and you want your child's information, you could go through Hayes' office, request it, say, I'm the owner of this phone and I want these itemized numbers or text messages, and it gives it out. They can give that information out to but we have to go, law enforcement has to go the right way and go subpoenas or search warrants, and then we're able to get that. Unless we have a parent that says, something ain't right, I need help. And I'd rather 10 times over that a parent comes to me with a concern, you know, and comes to us and feels comfortable with coming to us and talking about it, because, I mean, if these kids are so naive that they don't realize the dangers out there, the constant changing, I don't know, it's scary. It's very scary. You go into a doctor's office or a park or anything, and these kids are just glued to this, and it is scary. And so if there's any way of protecting them, I'm all for that. So, I mean, that's a good question. If you signed up, or even if you write down my information, I'll try to find out and I'll give you a call, because that is, I mean, it's something. And you know, it's not above, you know, telling kids, hey, if you change the passcode, I get a text message saying that, you know, I mean, so you know it's going to be out there. You know it's going to be there. Anybody else? No other questions? Sure.
Do you keep the GPS on or off?
GPS. Do we?
No, should I, on my kid's phone?
You can, you know, you don't have to. I don't know that, I mean, as far as the cell phone, it really, if it comes down to that situation and we need to locate that child and they've used that phone, if somebody's used that phone, we're gonna be able to locate it whether or not it's on or not. Because when you do an emergency ping, yes. Because every bit of data that goes in or out of that phone is logging. It is telling those towers, you know, son, you know, whatever, daughter, it's going here, it's there, it's here. I mean, and it's pretty, with the towers being put up in the numbers that they are now, you know, you don't have to though, because of social media, you know, it's one of those things that you don't have to have your kid posting on Facebook or whatever with the locations on. You can have that off. But if we need to have it for an emergency, it doesn't matter if it's on or off. It's going to triangulate, it's going to ping, we're going to be able to get that information. I'd say it's pretty darn, because we've used it in some homicide cases, and, you know, it's a safe, I would say it is very, very, very close, because it can pinpoint off the tower locations where this phone was at what time, and it doesn't matter if you shut that off, shut that phone off, because it's still receiving information. I mean, unless the battery's pulled and it's busted in all different pieces, that's one thing. But it's going to give at least that last location of where it was at prior to that time. And it's huge for us, because when you can pinpoint suspect off his phone, pinpoint victim, and then put them together, and then it's huge. It's huge for us, because you show that in court and there's nothing that can break that down. Nothing. No matter what. So I would say that, you know, for safety reasons, you don't have to have it on, because at least it protects your kid from having that information logged on their, you know, their social media sites. But at least, you know, if you say, my kid's missing, I don't know where he's at, he has his phone, and I can't get a hold of him, emergency ping right away, because it's a juvenile missing. So.
Anybody else has questions?
That's okay, you can ask away.
Do you, as a family, use iPhones or Android?
We use iPhones, but I will say I'm a little disappointed with their lack of cooperating with the government on Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So, I mean,
That's off topic.
yes, very off topic, but it's a personal choice.
As a family, do you use the family
iPhones.
sharing?
We use iPhones, we do all of our
But do you do the
stuff.
family sharing where your kids download something, you have to approve it?
Yes.
Now, how safe, I mean, can they get past that? And I don't know if everybody knows what the family sharing is.
No, because you would be alerted to it, and you would still have to approve it, unless they had access to your phone, and if you have a passcode on it, then they would have to bypass it, and you would, and it would still have some kind of, you would have some kind of an alert. So it's still something that you can keep track of, but yeah, I would definitely do that, because that way, you know, and most normally, what I did when I set up their iTunes account is I have the password, they don't. So I know everything that goes on that phone. And I'm the one that approves it, and then when I ask for the phone, they're to give it to me right on the spot, and if they don't give it to me, it's mine. And they won't get it back. Literally. And they can not like me all they want, that's okay.
But the family sharing is,
Yes, I would say is a must, because it's another protection.
do they have something like that on the Android side, or do you know?
I don't know on Android, we deal with mostly iPhones, but, I like my iPhone a lot, and I like being able to be familiar with the same thing. But yeah, I've dealt with so many different phones that, you know, I think I can figure out any of them, because, you know, it's like I don't know, it's kind of like a competition, I guess. It's a matter of, you don't think I can get into this, but I can. So, anybody else? Any other questions? Well, thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate all your support, everything that you guys have done. This means a lot that you guys are here. It means you care, and you're willing to learn. And if there's any questions, again, I'm Detective Heather Smith, and I work at the Great Bend Police Department, so you guys can call me anytime. If I don't get back to you right away then, I will get back to you as soon as I get a voicemail. But you can leave messages up there for me if you, Kay down here works in the records division, so she'll be more than happy to get your information.
Thank you.